Welcome everybody to another video of A Matter of Life and Dev. Today we will be discussing Studio Pro 8.2.1 because Mendix was pretty quick with releasing a hotfix for a bug that I think was
pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was, let's read it out loud. We fixed an issue where the creation of a deployment package failed when the project contained a native navigation profile. Now, I think that's worth a release. Worth a hotfix, yeah. So that's the only thing that was in hotfix, so I'd say let's get cracking on 8.2.
One of the big new features in Mendix 8.2 is the possibility to use paging in a data source microflow.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So what happens when you create a data grid and you select a microflow as the source, then Studio Pro will present you with a pop-up that says, do you want to create a context data view? The context data view will be based on a system entity. The system entity is called paging. It holds a few attributes that you can use to create custom sorting and pagination with. I think brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So when you auto-generate those things, you will get a Nanoflow for pagination. You will get a Nanoflow that will create the context data view object for you, and you can use it in, I think, especially integrations.
Yeah.
Because we recreated the Rick and Morty example used in the Mendix blog.
Yeah.
What was your take on it?
It was done before I even noticed. It was so fast and so easy to set up. It's these things make a great improvement, I would say.
Yeah.
The only downside is that you can't use the sorting in a database retrieve.
Yeah, because you get the sorting attribute as a string in the pagination object.
Exactly.
Which you can't really translate to an attribute in a retrieve from database, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the paging is also in the paging object. The paging attributes are in the paging object as well. But with some calculations, you could technically calculate your limit and your offset.
Exactly.
So you could use paging with a database retrieve.
Yeah.
So all in all, a pretty good feature, I would say.
Absolutely. I see some use cases in some of our projects already.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yep. Another new feature is the ability to use constant in your pages.
Yeah, in your pages and in your Nanoflows.
Okay.
Small side note.
So they're available in the client.
Yeah, that's a good way to summarize it. Which comes with its own little checkbox in a constant, because you might want to be cautious when exposing constants to your client. Because,
obviously,
well, usually constants hold sensitive data like passwords or whatever. And obviously you want to, well, take note when you expose constants to your client.
Yep.
But if you do, that means that you can use constants in, for example, visibility on your page, in visibility expressions, editability expressions, and in Nanoflows.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep. In some of our projects, we have an object that holds the environment variable, so to say. So if it's a test, acceptance, or production environment, stuff like that is now no longer necessary, because you can put it in a constant, send it to the client, and then you can base some of the things that you want to show on that constant.
For example,
Yeah.
Good addition.
Very good addition.
Yeah.
Yep.
One other thing that technically was already possible with a little hacky maybe, but still, you can now call a microflow from a Nanoflow. And when I say it was previously possible, is you could create a JavaScript action that would use mx.data.action to call a microflow. It now is available out of the box. You can literally drag your microflow in your Nanoflow.
Works good.
And it works as expected.
Yeah. So it sends a request to your XAS and works basically like any other microflow call.
Yeah. So a little side note with this feature is that you can only use it in web apps or online hybrid apps.
Yep.
So offline it's not available, which makes sense.
Throughout Mendix 8 releases, we've seen some good improvements to React Native.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this is just constantly being pushed to its limits and
Tip of
seeing
the
what
iceberg.
seeing what else is possible. I think so much more. But one of the things that Mendix pointed out now specifically is native animations, which give your app that touch of flashiness.
Yeah,
I think that we all want from our applications, which was difficult to achieve with PhoneGap.
Yeah, it was. You had to put a lot of effort in to get somewhere close.
Mm-hmm.
And well, obviously with this announcement, it's just that much easier. So much needed improvement, I would say, when building native applications.
Yeah. One more thing about this, I think Mendix released a specific widget for this.
True. Yeah.
So we are going to do a video on React Native somewhere in the near future.
Yep.
And that's, I think, the perfect time to look at this in more detail. But it's good to know that there are widgets available also for native applications that, well, also enhance applications.
Enhance the native feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Then a whole different topic, flexible environments.
Yep. What's that?
So we got used to having a test and acceptance and a production environment in the Cloud Portal. Now with Cloud version 4, you are no longer limited to those 3 environments. You can basically ask support for another environment, which I think will cost you a bit of money.
Probably.
But you can rearrange those and create your own development street, cycle, whatever. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You're no longer limited to 3 environments for one application, but do what you want, basically.
Yep. And it's also that this is only available if you have an enterprise license.
Yep.
So that's something to keep in mind. So if you don't and you go like, yay! I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I think this is extremely useful in some cases, especially if you have big applications, multiple people who need to test.
Yeah, CI/CD pipelines with staging environments, for example, or something like that. Yeah, great. Yeah.
One of the, I think, more interesting things to discuss is Calypso. Calypso. Yeah, it always makes me. Ever since I read the blog post, I have to think of Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, such a Tiadama reference.
Tiadama, yeah.
But okay, this is not.
Oh.
Yeah, Calypso is something else. It's basically a SAS compiler. Easy for when you want to style your applications. So no longer write directly to CSS files, but use the SCSS files. Well, can you tell us a bit about what Calypso does for us? Why would we want to use Calypso?
Well, for one, it's built by Mendix, and we love using stuff built by Mendix. And one of the cool features that Calypso has is browser sync. So when you change something in your SCSS file, and Calypso notices the change, it recompiles your SCSS into CSS, but it will also copy those files to your deployment directory and injects the CSS into your running application. So the browser will automatically be updated, and you instantly will notice your change.
Oh, that's nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So no longer rerunning for a small CSS change. I would definitely use this as a SAS compiler now.
Yeah, I'm interested to use this. Yeah.
It has everything we need and more.
True. And
dark mode.
Dark mode. Oh yeah. We're all fan of that, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm curious about, I think it works. This is not limited to Mendix 8. It's an Atlas UI product.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we should be able to use this with Mendix 7.
Yeah, we should.
We should. We'll try that.
Yeah. This is a topic we haven't discussed in these videos yet, but there were so many changes that we had to name them, and they're pretty good changes because there are a lot of changes in Studio now.
Exactly.
So previously the web modeler,
Yep.
now Studio. They made a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
And
should we start with the basics of Studio? What we think about it? Or no?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
What I think of Mendix Studio is at first is when it was positioned, I didn't really know what to think of it. It felt like it was somehow going to replace Studio Pro, and I didn't quite fancy that. But now I think they found a way to position Mendix Studio for the less technical, the business users who have some idea on what they want to build. And now they have a tool set, a limited but easy tool set to create their first application with, that you could go to someone more technical in your company with, saying, hey, this is what I built, what do you think of it? Does this make sense? Can we use this on a bigger scale? And that's how I think new applications could be born as of now, maybe in a few years.
So Studio is positioned as a separate no-code application, a web application, and it's perfect for collaboration.
Yeah.
So if one user has edit functionality and other users have read-only functionality, then the read-only users are immediately updated.
Another thing is editability and input validations. Apparently this was not yet possible in Studio.
True.
I think really important when you want to build applications: conditional editability, visibility, input validations. The downside of this is obviously that it's done on domain model level, but I think this is something that we cannot expect from Studio users to know.
No, exactly. As Studio is focused on maybe proof of concepting apps, it's fine, I would say.
True.
So from the Studio editor, you can now add sorting for list views and data grids in your properties window. So that's pretty useful as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live without it anyway.
True.
The consistency checks we mentioned in the last video for Studio Pro have been altered a bit for Studio. So I think they are a bit less technical now and more user friendly.
Yeah, they give more guidance.
Yeah, so it's like this can be fixed in the properties window.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very good move.
Yeah.
And we have also seen some overall quality of life updates, so to say.
Yeah.
The date picker widget that you can now set between date time or something custom.
Yeah.
Something we're also used to in Studio Pro, but I think very useful in Studio as well.
Yeah, sure.
And the drop-down widget that is now for both enumerations and reference sets.
Yeah, great move.
Great move. Yep.
I would like to see that in Studio Pro as well, actually.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
So, small tip.
Yeah. So that was the list with new features.
Yeah. Now on to some improvements. Yeah.
JavaScript actions have been improved. I think that's the main thing to take away from this release.
Yeah.
What can we tell about this?
You can now use some functionalities that are present in ES 2018, like async wait, for example. So you have more capabilities in your JavaScript actions.
So if you're a JavaScript developer, then this release has a lot of features that you would like.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, this should ring a bell for you.
Yeah. For you it should.
Yeah. And like we're used when developing Java actions, you have the begin user code, end user code, and the begin extra code and end extra code.
Okay. Yep.
That's now also included in JavaScript actions.
That's great.
So that's like a way to organize your action. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's very neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can keep your JavaScript actions neat.
And one final thing that you should keep in mind when developing JavaScript actions is that they get minified when you deploy to production.
Yeah.
So they are no longer debuggable.
And they're no longer big in size.
Big in size. True that. Yeah.
So that's the main reason.
That's the main reason for
Yeah. So there are some other random improvements and or fixes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people ran into the issue that on iOS 12.2,
Mm-hmm.
the keyboard didn't pop up when focusing on an input field.
That's annoying.
That's pretty annoying, I would say. Another thing that's been improved is the handling of one-to-one associations,
Mm-hmm.
where the owner has been set to both.
Okay.
I think we ran into this issue a couple of times because not all objects or members were set correctly.
Yep.
Objects weren't committed properly, so there's always like, well, commit this object, but explicitly commit the other object as well, as a
Mhm.
sort of
Fail safe.
workaround.
Yeah.
That's been fixed.
And finally, I think this is a pretty nice one. The autocomplete function has been updated once again for the good.
Yeah.
It makes a better match now. It displays the best match first, which wasn't always the case.
No.
In some cases, you would want to set a attribute, and it would automatically point to associations.
Yeah,
At least that's what
exactly.
I noticed.
Yeah.
And this is very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
I
fix.
agree. Yeah. There's one big thing we have to mention. It's a known issue that if you use the extract microflow or the newly added extract Nanoflow,
Mm-hmm.
when you do and you save it and you close Studio Pro, the contents of your sub microflow or sub nanoflow can get lost. So if you reopen your project, that sub nanoflow or sub microflow can be empty.
Okay.
So to work around this, make a small change, make a small manual change in your subflow, change the position of one of the activities,
Okay. Yeah.
press save, and
Easy
you can
enough.
safely shut down Studio Pro.
It's a bit of an annoyance, but at least there's a workaround.
Yeah, but I do hope this gets fixed rather
Soon.
sooner than later. Done.
Luckily, it's not something that we do on a daily basis, I would say.
No.
Otherwise, this would have been a breaking issue for me, a reason not to use this version
I agree.
of Studio Pro.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it for this release, right?
Yeah, it's quite a lot, huh?
It's a pretty big release.
I thought they would get smaller
Yeah.
over time than when we started doing this for 8.0.
Yeah. 8.0 was a big release, 8.1 a bit smaller, and this is another big release in my book.
Yeah.
So kudos to
Yes.
the R&D team.
They've really outdone themselves this time. So if they keep this up for the few coming releases,
It's gonna
then
be a packed studio
oh, yeah.
environment.
True. I have the feeling that they are listening to us as developers, as a community, really well.
Yeah, more and more I would say.
More delighters, stuff that makes building applications so much quicker.
Yeah.
And that's what we see happening. All the annoyances from past years, they're one by one knocking them out of Studio Pro.
Yeah.
And making things better for us to develop applications.
Yeah. I hope they do maintain the quality we're used to, because we did run into some crashes when using 8.2.1, I should say. So I do hope they keep up quality checks and make sure that doesn't happen too often, because that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, things that we noticed were, for example, pasting. We tried implementing the Rick and Morty API.
Yeah.
We copy pasted the JSON snippet, and when pasting it, it gave us an error.
Yeah.
Because there was a
comment tag in the JSON.
Yeah, and when removing it, it still didn't take. We had to close the JSON snippet, open it again, and then paste it, and then it did work.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And On my laptop, Calypso didn't work,
True.
which is a shame because I have a space in the path to where Calypso is installed. There's no way that you can select where you want to install Calypso.
Yeah, because it's installed in your app data folder.
Exactly, and since I use my full name to log into my computer, I have spaces in it. And that's when it crashes, and in your case you don't, and on your PC it works.
Yeah.
So also something to keep in mind.
Yeah, if you do run into these kind of things, please submit a ticket.
Yes.
Because these annoyances we'd like to see fixed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if we keep on doing that, then we'll get a nice feature-full and robust Studio Pro.
Yeah,
I
think it's safe to say that if we scratch Mendix's back, they will scratch ours. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. So get scratching.
Get scratching. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for watching.